Heyo, no long timers today, man. We're just getting into it. Uh, hey, welcome anybody that's in chat. We're sort of doing an impromptu thing here because me and Nate the Great here we're just chatting via text, and we're like, you know what? Why not? I'm sure somebody must have something else to say about this. So we'll see how it goes. But Nathan, Amanda Manethrin is here with me. How are you doing, sir?
I'm I'm tired.
Recovering?
This is my second batch of coffee today.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
Yeah, no, it was
I
a long one.
it was a late night. It was a lot of bourbon, uh, and oh man, it's a good thing to have friends to do this with
Oh
because
yeah.
there's no way in hell I would have gotten through all that crap.
Is this a death battle? I should it be? I think it could be. I think why not? Can they
If
both
only, right?
Fad, this shouldn't be. Is this a death battle? Are you guys going to mud wrestle over this? I don't think we're gonna fight about anything. Maybe the characters can mud wrestle. That could I don't know that I want that either.
Mm,
Huh.
Depends on. I mean, I don't know.
What's up,
It,
Dovey?
it's But both shows decided to show women in a very unflattering manner. Although I will say, Wheel of Time wins the battle on that one.
Oh my gosh,
But
like there's so many things like it's like so this I almost wish I could have made a list or something, but you guys know me by now. I just sort of shoot from the hip and go for it, right? So um it, it's going to make for an interesting comparison, especially I mean, I think we're probably going to end up doing this several times because obviously there's only 2 episodes of Rings of Power out. We got 8 episodes of something um, for the other show. So obviously the comparisons are going to keep rolling. I guess some. Oh no, the women of women
yeah,
effing here. Well,
hold on, gotta
they
put
are
them,
here wherever we go. There they are. So it's okay. We're
gotta
on
put them in
guard.
their place.
You know what? I may have to. I could mod them. Maybe get a little bit of a good. Nah, I don't know. That could get a little crazy, but um there's so many like just from I don't know how you feel, but I feel like watching the Rings of Power, I was just watching the Wheel of Time over again.
In so many different ways, it was just they were eerily similar, just as in the way that we thought that they were going to be using the Wheel of Time as a platform to operate how they were going to do this to Rings of Prime. You know, it just had so many similarities. It was just a much larger budget,
Yeah.
and I think that part of it showed out. But everything else was just it was agenda this, agenda that. Um, the
Well,
deconstruction of men and feminizing of men was very strong, and the promotion of women acting like men was also very strong.
and it was like and I think that's why could be an interesting discussion. I think someone else is going to be joining us here in a little bit, but maybe 2 people, we'll see. But this what Doviande Setovius again said. I'm glad you could show up for a little bit, Dovi. I know you hope you're continuing to do better, my friend. But I need to watch Wheel of Time as a palate cleanser. Was the quote of the day, and I know you said that, and I barfed a
Yep.
little bit, and then I died, and then I woke up. Um, because I don't know that I feel the same because while I didn't enjoy like the Rings of Power, I don't want to say I guess anger. No, it didn't really. I don't know. It just was not didn't make any sense. It was boring to me. I am much more attached to Wheel of Time than I am to the Lord of the Rings and Tolkien. Obviously I like the
Mhm.
Lord of the Rings and Tolkien, but I'm not like diehard like a lot of the fans of that series. So um, it's one of those things. It's an interesting discussion because I've heard that but there's a little bit going back and forth of which is worse, right? And it's like crazy that that's the discussion that I'm seeing. Not from everybody, but that's the vast majority. So I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I think it's a fair assessment. I mean, there is a lot of dependency on which you are more attached to. I've read Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and The Silmarillion. I haven't read the rest of them, the things, but that's kind of on my agenda to eventually read. It was, so I have a little bit more of an attachment to uh, Tolkien's work than I do Robert Jordan's, which I've gone through uh, the beginning books multiple times, the latter books once. But it's, either way, um, you know, the comparison of which is worse comes to, and I mentioned this to you earlier, it is almost like a case by case basis
Yeah.
because you can't take them as a whole almost because they just have so many different facets to where, well, this one's worse, and maybe you could do an overall score, but
Well, and I
it's
think the interesting I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think the
no,
interesting thing is like there was and maybe this is the Wheel of Time effect for some was I know the Wheel of Time came out and there were some people there were actually quite a few people that were willing to give those first 2 episodes a pass because they were like, "Okay, they were okay, let's see where they're going." This isn't the worst, but let's see if they can recover, like, they're at lea I saw Emmons Field, I saw Shadar Lagoth, even though they pronounced it wrong, right? Let's yeah, right. Yeah, and some mud stuff or whatever the hell that was in there. So like I want to say, and it was one of those things. Even in like my brother and people that it was let's let it. Let's see, wait and see. It's close enough. They're gonna get there. They're gonna get there. And then of course they never got there. And then almost all those people that said, "Hey, hold on, let's see what they do." All of them turned around and said, "Oh, man," and then they went
right.
back and watched some of
Well,
it and said, "Wow, that was really a lot worse than I thought it was."
yeah, I was one of those. I mean, I was uneased by the trailer subconsciously anyway, and the first 2 or 3 episodes, and then once I got through the 4th episode, it was just like, okay, this doesn't match up. This doesn't work. I started getting pissed off about it. And when that happens, all of a sudden, everything that was wrong with the first 3 episodes, which there was an infinite plethora of stuff there, goes under the microscope. And so people that went back and actually took the time to look back at the stuff, all of a sudden now their eyes are opened and they see it differently. And now everything comes to full sunlight and it's a big old train wreck.
Yeah,
And the benefit that we had going into Lord of the Rings was that they had created such a kerfuffle with Wheel of Time and all the Star Wars, Doctor Who, all that stuff, that everybody was ready and raring to go.
yeah.
And they came to war with a wooden spatula when we came to war with freaking cannons and rockets, and it is getting torn to shreds. I mean, the
Well,
the Rotten Tomatoes score is kind of funny to look at, even though it's as illegitimate as can be.
what's it at? I'm gonna have to. I'll bring it up. I didn't even
Oh,
look at it because I don't look at it
yeah.
anymore. But is
I
it
think
like
I think the
ridiculous?
fan score dropped below 40% today,
Oh my gosh. Okay.
and
Because
the
that brings up
critic
another
score has been
like
plummeting too.
I'm trying to be fair, right? But it's like, so does that mean people were just ready to hate it? Like, whereas like Wheel of Time, people were giving it a chance. People were just ready to hate this, so it's sort of self-fulfilling prophecy that or do you think it just is? I mean, I feel it was just bad, but and
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy it. I was bored, but yeah, 37%. Yeah, that's not. I mean, 81% isn't even really that strong. So we'll see where that goes. But um,
Well, it started at 98%.
audience score did or what?
Yeah. No, the
Tomato
critic
meter?
score.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the
So I
the
mean,
the
because
the
that's
shill
not.
the shills got in, and once the shills got in, they that put it all the way up. But then the actual critics who actually give a shit about their jobs came in and said, "No, this is pretty bad," and it's
Yeah.
been dropping precipitously since.
Okay.
And they've been
Well,
and As did a video earlier, they've been messing with the fan score as well,
oh,
which is no
see
surprise. They always
that
do that.
look, that's what they're gonna do, and it's one of those. It's like, um, that's gonna happen now, right? It's like, Rotten Tomatoes is a joke. It's always gonna be, there's always gonna be some tampering or some other stuff. And that's why it's sort of good to get a little bit of barometer, but it's not accurate.
Mhm.
It's nothing, right? Uh,
Right.
so real quick, we got this gentleman here with us too, Salty Texas C, who has a dog in this fight. How are you, brother?
I'm doing all right. I can't believe you guys are supporting all of the brigading by bigots, racists, and misogynists
Yeah.
that don't like strong women. The show isn't made for them. If they didn't like it, why did they watch it, Steve? That's my question.
Well, hey, that's for every show, right? We're not allowed to watch anything. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's I just find this to be an interesting discussion because it's like we're not talking about like, and I would want like we talked about, and look, I know there's some people that genuinely liked it, and that's fine. Like everybody, can like what they like, right? But I find this to be an interesting discussion because I've had it with several people today, not YouTubers and other people. That's like, it's not like wow that was really good or wow that was
Nope.
so much better. It's which one was worse, and it's
Yeah.
like, and it's sort of an interesting phenomenon. And I don't know if it's because people were geared up for this to be worse, so they're not being fooled or being patient or trying to let it turn around, or it's just it was that bad. Now I just again not a Tolkien like scholar or even like I like the movies a lot, and the Hobbit was okay, the Hobbit movie was okay. That's where I'm at, right? And as a fantasy show, just fantasy, it was boring.
Yeah.
The Rings of Power. Now, is my opinion about Wheel of Time? I was angry, like so. It's like there's a big difference for me. It's like Wheel of Time angry, Rings of Power bored, right? So for me, and I don't know if a lot of people have that same feeling flipped because I've had it's sort of split down the middle. Actually, I'm gonna put a poll in chat right now, see
Oh,
what we got.
stick your poll in.
Yeah,
Stick it in
so
good.
yeah.
Yeah, I see. I honestly, I don't. Tolkien doesn't enter the equation for me with this show. It's very clearly not J.R.R. Tolkien's world. It is not his characters. It is not the richness isn't there. We were talking this morning before your live stream about there were so many opportunities where if they wanted to actually pay homage to what Tolkien did, which did not occur in any way, shape, or form in the first two episodes, they would have shown what Middle Earth is all about. It is about traveling Middle Earth. Middle Earth, in and of itself, is the most important character in a lot of the stories. Frodo, Gandalf, Aragorn, Arwen, Eowyn, Elrond, Sauron, Saruman are all supporting actors in what Middle Earth itself is. The town of Bree, going to all these different places. There was the opportunity where not Elrond was traveling with Liberace, I mean Celebrimbor,
Yeah.
and they magically come around a rock,
Well,
like
like that's
having magically left Linden. And there's no this should have been about showing us the world they live in,
yeah,
riding horses or whatever they did. Steve, you talked
yeah,
about this,
yeah,
and having adventures where they could have had exposition and not just talking like in like two people talking, coming around a CG rock on a soundstage with very bad CG. They could have been in New Zealand. They were in the same damn place that Peter Jackson was. They through for whatever reason decided or were not smart enough to understand that this show in Middle Earth is about being in Middle Earth. It is not being on sound stages with CG that make it look like Middle Earth. It is about being in the physical space of Middle Earth. And that's why this whole show through two episodes is nothing but a series of scenes. You can see where in the writer's room, they're like, okay, we've got scene 1, scene 2, scene 3. All of these stories flung together in random fashion, just like Wheel of Time, to divide the characters up, to fill the minutes with nothing that means a damn thing. And I'll stop talking.
it feels good, doesn't it?
I'm done.
No, no. I just said no, no.
People can like this show. People can
No,
like this show.
that's
Even as a generic fantasy, this was terrible.
well, that's
It was
where
a
I'm at with that.
soap opera.
But real quick,
Sorry.
I got Lao Hammock with $10 here. Thank you, sir. As always, hail to both of you. Fine gentlemen, I feel I have to clarify what you don't. I just want to say that real quick. You don't have to. You don't have to clear. Like, I mean, I'll read this, but it's just like Uh, it's fine, brother. I know we're not saying it's the best piece of cinema ever. Okay, I have to feel I have to clarify something that everyone thinks that I am calling Rings of Power the most incredible show ever. I don't know that. I know I never saw you say that, so I never believe that. I'm not. I'm not even saying it's anywhere near the trilogy. Uh, I know, like, and that's Lyle. You're good, brother. Like, I'm glad you were able to find parts that you liked, and even if you like the whole thing, you know, to each his own. And I don't think none of the comments I've seen you making anywhere has made me think that you're like, oh my god, it's a home run. So I haven't. I don't know that that's never been my impression, brother. But thanks for the super chat. Keep saying what you feel. That's all. That's all I can say. Be honest. That's it. Like, be honest about how you feel, and it doesn't matter. You don't go with the tide. Just say what you feel and be who you are. That's all I have to say. And sometimes it's harder to be the one going, well, I liked it in a group of people. Well, not even sometimes. If you genuinely like something, it's harder to be the guy that says, well, you know what? I liked it. I'm sorry you guys didn't, right? So good on you, brother. I mean, it's okay. I just, it's like Corey already mentioned, or I'm sorry, Salty already mentioned, the horse thing really bothered me. Okay, so and this isn't where I expected to start, but it's a very simple thing. There wasn't a single horse for I don't know that there was any traveling in the show at all. I mean, the traveling that happened was the elf and his lady friend who can I forgot their names already, who can chop off orcs' heads because they just stick their head out and say,
Uh,
chop my head off.
I have the name handy. It's the Iranian activist who's making time to pretend to be a character that doesn't exist in Tolkien's world. There you go.
Okay, sweet. But I, it's like, why nobody owns horses in Middle Earth at this age? Horses aren't a thing. Like, everybody walks everywhere. I mean, literally, the scene you said, you had not Elrond
Elrond and
with
Celebrimbor.
Celebrimbor. They just walked around this. It's like, oh hey, I'm going down to I'm going to walk down to the McDonald's and get me a cheeseburger and French fries. Oh, there's a dwarf door here. I was just waiting for him to say Belloc, and then I almost did already. A freaking Balrog to just go raw. It's like, it's a Balrog, right? I don't know. It bothered me. It's like these are the comparisons I'm making. I'm like, at least Wheel of Time had horses and they actually traveled, and like, I mean, and to a point they use the ways their travel, their taxi service that's actually built into the show or into the book. At least they use that correct. I can't believe I'm defending Wheel of Time. Holy shit. Sorry, but it's one of those like, oh, we lost Salty there. I'm sure he'll be back. But you know what I'm saying? At least it's like they didn't even bother to try and like,
Mhm.
give like, I'm sure it leave me sort of speechless, right?
Yeah. I mean, well, and maybe the time the travel thing does make sense in that regards, because in the time that it took Galadriel to swim halfway across the ocean, that's how long it took them to get from Eregion to Khazad-dûm, and when they were walking,
It was
I don't know.
well, it's like, and you said it. I think after the stream last night, was like you were just waiting for the Indiana Jones music with the little red dot to pop up and
Yeah.
be like, da, 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 da. And it's like it was just like, I don't know. It was just, I don't know. It didn't feel right.
You pointed this out last night, Steve, and that's why I'm passionate about New Zealand. And they were in New Zealand. They just didn't seem to use New Zealand for anything other than flying helicopters around the peaks that, like, the beacons are lit, and some of where Gandalf, smote the Balrog. They didn't use it at the ground level. This is a soundstage. The lighting is all wrong. You pointed this out, and it had that feeling of the Phantom Menace,
Yeah.
where there was a lot of people just standing on sound stages talking to one another, but mostly just talking at one another. You
Yeah.
know,
I
I
just
don't know.
Real quick, Jacob Ironside. This place is so evil. I like it. It's so evil. Our torches give off no heat. It's like, would it be that you're in a big open space made of stone and you're wearing chainmail next to your skin? Yeah, right. And then immediately they put water on a rock and it starts steaming, and she's like, "Ooh, that looks hot." It's like, I thought the cave was like, what do you? It's like, come on, right? And then she goes off and kills a troll by herself, and does some whirly
Yeah.
whirls with her sword, and yeah.
Oh, that troll fight was a freaking joke. I mean, the fact that everybody got bowled over. The guy threw the torch down the tunnel for whatever freaking reason.
Yeah, it was,
You're like,
and
what are you
the little
doing?
twirly twirly, and then pose. It's just like what, like, and the thing didn't
And
bleed either. Like, did you see that? Like, she
yeah,
cut him on the neck. She cut him like that is the worst troll ever. Like,
yeah.
it was a
It's like
troll, right?
we'll show leaking black cow milk
Yeah,
that looks like
Yeah.
tar, but we're
yeah.
heaven forbid we do some blood.
But
Well,
here,
that
real quick here,
yeah.
Roland and Rollins, we're witnessing the the death of American cinema, and it's a good thing. I guess there's no time we won't have to bother anymore with this nonsense.
Yeah.
We're getting close to that, right? I mean, I don't
And
know.
you can see it because there's an article we didn't get to on the Tuesday show where the cinemas, we were warned that no big movies were going to be coming out in August, September, October. It's dead out there. There's nothing out there. And movie theaters are feeling it because the box offices weren't great for a lot of things. And the downstream effect of that is that there was one that's going bankrupt. There's another one that declared bankruptcy. And sorry about
Hey, where's
that.
R2's
And,
here? I heard R2.
yeah,
Save
yep.
us.
And
Oh, sorry.
but major movie theater chains are doing $3 movie Saturday to try and get anybody to come in to the theaters. And from what I'm seeing, it is for old movies. Like I've always said they should, like Jaws, Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Yeah.
E.T.
Yeah.
They're recognizing that people would come by boatloads if they ran the Lord of the Rings in the theater. If they ran the Indiana Jones movies in the theater, I would go all the time. Nobody wants this shit they're coming out with now. They just don't.
Real quick here, I got a few super chats to hit here. The Thad that shouldn't be for $5. Thank you, sir. I have a sneaking suspicion you're on another account too, but I'm not. You're not you're spy in their ranks, right? Out of their $1 billion budget, they spent so much on Elrond and Celebrimbor's fabulous hair, they had nothing left for horses. You could be right. Maybe they used horse hair for them too, right? That's where the horses went. And then Lyle Hammock for $50. Wow, thank you, Lyle. Man, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I see you say autocorrect, so I'll try and read this correctly for you. I will say though that they committed a din I can't overlook, a sin. I'm assuming a sin I can't overlook, no matter how much they may enjoy parts of this. They have given it to the Abrams treatment, and the result. They have taken the timeless epic of Lord of the Rings and made it into another forgettable, shallow show. Well, I mean, and thank you, Lyle, again for that. I hope I read your autocorrect correctly. But that was something else we were talking about. We're right into mystery boxes again. That's how Wheel of Time started. And I'd like to start getting into some comparisons here. We could go off about Rings of Power all day long, I think, probably again. Right, mystery box. Right at the end, we got the right at the end of the show, we got the two dwarves looking at the box and it's glowing. It's like we're supposed to be like, oh my god, what is that? And I'm just like, and I don't know if everybody else is like that. Chat, are you guys like that? I know I'm like it at this point. It's like, oh crap, here we go again. What is in the box? Right? What do you think,
It's Mithril.
There's your box. There's your box.
Yeah, there's the box. So it's like, there's your mystery box. In Wheel of Time, you got, what was the mystery box? Who's the Dragon Reborn?
Moiraine. Sorry. Oh, yeah, that was the mystery box.
Yeah,
yep.
yeah. Right. But we have the mystery. Like, so they're doing the same things, but and I thought I saw something else, that there was some other, like, who is this mystery? I guess you got the Gandalf thing, right? Is who's the wizard mystery box,
right?
And then you have, how many mystery boxes were in these episodes? You got the what's the milk, the goat's milk, or the black goo coming out of them mystery box. You got the
sickness.
You got the is Galadriel going to kill that poor guy in the boat and eat him because they're going to be out there forever and she's going to die of starvation and thirst. Oh wait, nope. We happen to run into a boat in the middle of the ocean again.
She's going to eat something from that guy.
Twice runs into a wreckage in the middle of the ocean, and then she runs
full of
into
racists. full of
Sorry.
racists.
Sorry.
Everyone on that ramshackle duct tape together raft was a racist. You know, they
Yeah.
were diverse racists, but they hated one particular race. Don't you just love the brilliance, the brilliance of the show?
The sad shit,
Well,
but Gwyneth
and the
Paltrow's
brilliance
head was in
added
the
to
box.
that,
There you go. Oh, sorry.
yeah, and added to that, they were really, really hitting the racism card hard with phrases like "knife ears."
Knife ears.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
I was waiting for him to call him that word, you know, because the people they cast in there looked like they could have been from Mississippi Burning. You know, it was all Caucasian men. They all looked like they chewed Redmond and drove pickup trucks. And then you got the diversity
Oh.
officer coming in. It's so on the nose, bitch made. It really is.
Mhm.
But that's what they put in their time and energy, was to making sure those messages were there. Again, this is not Tolkien. This is not Middle Earth. This is a generic fantasy show which completely underwhelmed me. It really did. And it followed the same model that Wheel of Time did, where you divide everybody up, have them go on little pointless, meaningless, stakeless, boring talk, feelings in hallways, feelings in elevators, storylines, and then you have some magical bullshit thing happen, and that's no big deal, and then the show ends. And it's dumb. It's
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, which raises all the stakes that the show's trying to present in the first place.
Yeah, no, it's one of those. Well, yeah, and I was just looking at I was looking at our poll here real quick. It's wow, Wheel of Time. We got 13 votes. So if you haven't voted, I'm going to leave this up for a while here. Wheel of Time is at 54%. Rings of Power is at 46. So we're at 13 votes, and it's almost split right down the middle. So, and I, you know what, and I know like. I'm leaning like I was actually talking a lot about this before we came live. I am leaning towards myself, Wheel of Time being worse. Now we're only 2 episodes in. So like who knows? But I don't think for me it's going to change because I am much more attached to Wheel of Time and the things they did to that is well, unforgivable, right? And so strap in for season 2. But I'm assuming. So what? I mean, what do you guys like? Before we start talking about some more details, deeper details of about which one is worse, and comparing the two 1-to-1, where do you fall on that poll, Nate? I could start with Nate. I
Right
guess.
now, I fall on the Rings of Prime because we're only 2 episodes in, and I think we've seen probably the best of the show. Everything that we've seen, I think we've seen most of all of the trailers combined already. And it's
Yes.
really pathetic that they've done that. You know, there's and Purple Valkyrie in previous streams has said that they've shown way too much of the show in the trailers. They've really put everything out there way too early. And you know, we watched a rehash of the trailers last night. But it's,
Oh yeah.
you know, if that was so bad last night, and it was really bad. I'm wondering, you know, did they put the best writing up front and
Yes.
then filled out the rest? You know,
Well, I mean,
that's a
this-
scary
they're
proposition.
supposed to hook you, right? I mean, it's like you're supposed to be like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm in, right? Let's keep going, right? And it's like I know, like, there's also I've had these. Or did Nathan die? He's dead. He's
No.
watching Rings of Power. No, right? No, but it's like you know, I'm supposed to be like, and I know it didn't do it for everybody, but that's how I feel right now about House of the Dragon. You know, episode 1 was I enjoyed episode 1 a lot. Episode 2 was not the greatest, but fine. It was okay.
Yep.
It didn't fall on its face. So I'm still ready for 3. Still waiting to see if they're going to fall on their face, but I am invested now. I'm
Yep.
going to watch it. I'm looking forward to the storylines developing. We got 2 episodes here, and I still don't know really what we're doing other than Elrond is trying to build a forge, right? So he had to go to the dwarves and have a dinner party and smash some rocks with a hammer. Apparently those guys are buddies. And then he had 2 kids running around with helmets on their heads, and so because they couldn't figure out how to do children dwarves, so they just
Yeah.
had him right. And then we got Galadriel that's going to murder the person that saved her on a boat.
Yep.
Drank all his water because F him. And because I don't know how they had water and supplies on that boat that got ate by that shark. So that's where that storyline is. And then we got we got Theo, the most badass. I guess everything is his fault because he bled into a sword. Is that where we're going? He revived Sauron because he bled. Is that this character they made up? I didn't understand that whole thing. He bled into the blade, so it reformed, and is he an evil guy now? Like,
have you noticed that only the women get to attack the monsters in the first 2 episodes? Have you noticed they're the only ones?
Jane, you ignorant slut.
Oh,
So
sorry.
that was a joke I was going to have you run with, talking about Gladriel.
Okay, well, we'll get it.
It's an inside joke among us 3 guys.
I was trying to get it in before I kept talking. I was trying to get it in on you, but
no, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, we just kept saying that about Gladriel. Going back to that SNL episode with Dan Aykroyd. That's all we wanted to. It's just like, just shut up, stop looking like a bitch, stop scowling. That's all she did was scowl.
Yeah,
I would have given the show 9 out of 10 if Elrond, in the middle of their first meeting, when she was complaining about things, just turned to her and said that very line. I would have been like, there we go.
Gladriel, you ignorant slut. And it's like, yeah, all right. He's got some right. But I just want to say, Mr. Zip, I haven't seen you in chat before. Welcome to the channel. If you've been here before lurking, I'm glad you said something. But symbolically speaking, a wheel and a ring can represent 0, as in net profits Amazon will receive from these series. Well, and that's an interesting thing, because like I still don't see any Wheel of Time merchandise.
Nope.
Have you seen any Rings of Power merchandise? Not really.
There's a rumor. Rumor, and I have it. And Purple Valkyrie she has been all over this with me. Supposedly, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Purple Valkyrie in chat, Sideshow. There's a rumor that Sideshow is going to be releasing limited edition Rings of Power 1/6 scale figures, and that they're going to cost a tremendous amount of money in a very limited run. What I'm wondering, because I talked about this with Disparu like a month or 2 ago, he said that Amazon doesn't understand how marketing works and doesn't understand all this stuff, and I agree with him. I wonder, though, if they didn't go to Mattel and Hasbro with their character concepts, with the story idea, and then say, will you make these figures? I wonder if those toy companies being burned by Star Wars, by Marvel with all these strong independent women action figures nobody wants to buy, if they're like, oh hell no, we don't want bitch Gladriel in armor with a 20-foot sword. I wonder if that happened.
Well, and that's, I mean, at least maybe, but at least if Sideshow's doing something, that's something like, and that,
Yeah.
look, I'm grasping at straws here, right? But it's like Wheel of Time has nothing, and I don't even see, like, and that's the thing, all the things that we've talked about this almost ad nauseum, right? There's so much thing you could merchandise, so many things you can merchandise from the Wheel of Time, banners, swords, everything, right? None of it, besides and none of it from the show, obviously, because it all looks goofy, right? But I wouldn't want a Rand figure. There's nothing in the show that like represents something that I would want to buy. I don't know if that's going to be the same for I'm trying to think of these first 2 episodes. I definitely wouldn't want to. I mean, I get a figure of that shark thing. That thing looked pretty cool, but
yeah.
And honestly, we were talking about Cause of Doom looked pretty good, so I could see like a model of Cause of Doom or something, or even a Lego of Cause of Doom or something like that, maybe. So there's some things in there that were visually pleasing, that I could maybe see myself buying a toy of. But anything from the Wheel of Time show, like I can a million things in my head for Wheel of Time that I could produce right now and say, hey, make this stuff. I'll buy it, right? So real quick, I want to get to Lyle's super chat here. I will say that I'm assuming that's or you think you guys are jumping the gun about the so-called pointless side stuff. I think I know where they're going with all this, and it could be amazing if executed. Just my opinion. So I just want to real quick, Salty, before it sounded like you had something to say. But this is so, Lyle, I feel like you are where I don't know if you're here for when we start talking about that, is you are in the I'm going to give this a chance position. This is exactly what I started with, was with the Wheel of Time. There was a big group of people that the first several episodes of Wheel of Time was like, just wait. Just
Yep.
wait. They're gonna fix it. It's gonna go somewhere. You're gonna get there. So you may be correct. I don't. We're 2 episodes in. I will admit that maybe we could be jumping the gun. We could, but I am basing this off of another Amazon product that completely shit the bed, and a lot of people were of the same attitude that you are, which hopefully gets rewarded. I am not confident it will be, but hopefully it gets rewarded. Hey, same thing. Look, I'm right there with House of the Dragon, right? I'm enjoying it. It could go up in flames, just like any of it, right? So that's part of being a fan of a property, is hopefully giving it a chance. If you feel like it does have a chance and it could go somewhere, hopefully rewarded. That I don't know. I don't see it happening. Maybe it will. I don't know. What do you guys think?
No.
We could be doing a part 2 of this video if House of the Dragon.
Yeah, we
turns
could
turn
add
tail.
just add another one.
We'll
Which
add
one
it.
is worse?
Yeah.
House of the
Yeah.
Dragon, Wheel of Time, Rings of Power. I mean, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, anything is possible, man. I feel like the production values match Wheel of Time almost scene for scene. I'm seeing it gives you that exact same feeling, at least me, that we're
Yeah.
watching just a Wheel of Time show clone, which is something that we've said over and over again, is that what this was going to be. Wheel of Time was the testing ground for a lot of this crap.
Yes, it was.
And they're playing that playbook. And it's one of those, what I'd like to do is we're 2 episodes in, right? So I'd almost like to think about first 2 episodes of the Wheel of Time and make that comparison. Now, first thing I want to do before we get there is I want to say, I haven't said it yet, but thank you to everybody in chat. Jacob Ironside making some great comics. Magitech Mags, as always, thank you for being here. Purple Valkyrie, as always, thank you. And the Thad that shouldn't be, the defender against the women of women Etherin. I appreciate you again for being here. But well, he is our watcher on the wall, right? I mean, come on. I'm just waiting for some next time on Amazon on Rings of Prime or something. He's in his wheel space when Thad shouldn't be Matt starts ripping those out. But let's see. So SB129. I already purchased official Wheel of Time stuff way before Waste of Time came out. I forgot Jewelry Company, but they made quality stuff. It just made sense. I have seen some of those, like you got the dedicated sword and the Astra Man pins. Some of those are pretty good. I will, yeah. So there is stuff out there, and some of the replica Heron Mark blades are out there. It's just a shame that they decided to ignore any of that artwork and try and match any of it. In my little animation, my sword looks more accurate than what they got on the screen. So that's the other thing with Wheel of Time that I think for me again puts it even more worse. And I think there was a comment up earlier about it, is they have 14, 15 books of content and visuals and reference materials that they could be referencing to make their show good. Rings of Power is in this now by choice. This isn't an excuse. They're in a point where they don't have much to adapt. They just grabbed it and said, we're adapting this part, which they did intentionally, I think, to just inject their own crap, right? But that's another thing for me that makes it even Wheel of Time go this way a little bit more on make it worse for me, because they have all that stuff that you could be referencing and to do it, even coming down to the blades and the armor and all that stuff. Yeah. So what do you think?
Can I bring something up that's talking about where Rings of Power goes next? Because we had John Bayona directed the first 2 episodes. If you go to IMDb and you look at the writing credits, it's fascinating because Tolkien is only credited with 2 episodes out of an 8-episode season. We are 1/4 of the way through 1 season of generic fantasy television. There has been no catalyst setter events, no triggering event that to me has launched me to care about one single of these made-up characters. Not one. Guess who we get directing the next couple episodes? A gentleman by the name of Wayne Yip. Now, why do you know that name? Well, if you go to IMDb and you look at his bio, it was changed before the show came out. His bio no longer includes what it did 2 months ago, that he directed episodes of season 1 Wheel of Time. They removed the references. They're now saying that you can't make this shit up. They literally are hiding the fact that he directed the Wheel of Time episodes, some of the worst ones. He's now directing the
hid
Rings
it?
of Power ones. Yeah, I can share it with you guys if you want.
Wait, wait,
I
wait.
just-
They hid that he. Okay, hold on. So
Yeah.
I missed something. I was typing. So Wayne Yip is directing the next episode, or has directed,
the next 2 episodes.
and
They're
they've
hits.
taken off his credits for Wheel of Time. Is that what you're saying?
On the Amazon Rings of Power bio for the director. I'll pull it up. They used to
bring it
have
up.
that he directed the Wheel of Time. This is what it looks like now.
Mm. All right, let's see. Writer, director, Wayne Yip graduated degree in graphics, blah blah blah. Is it down more, or was it in his bio? It said
this is the whole bio they had. This is different than what I did a video on a couple months ago, where I had all of the Wheel of Time episodes he did. I believe he did some work for Doctor Who as well. They stripped that out.
Yeah, that's pretty. Wow. As Magitech Mag said, that is pretty sus and shady. I agree.
Yeah, this is what happens when you do research. I mean, feelings are wonderful, opinions are wonderful, but doing research like this, instead of twisting facts to suit your narrative, use the facts to generate an outcome based upon those facts. And from where I am sitting today, and after covering this for 9 months with you guys and other people, we're seeing more of the same. They know they're screwed. They're trying to cover their tracks. They're trying to take away any ammunition to go, oh my God, it looks like Wheel of Time. Here you go. That's not salty making stuff up. That's me simply doing research on what's happening here.
You've been sniffing too much glue, man. Stop it.
I'm a bigot. You guys know that, right?
No, you're a glue sniffer. All right. Lay off of it.
Okay. Fair.
So you got anything to add before I want to do some 1-to-1s here just for fun. So you got anything to add before we go into the fight, the end all fights, the war of our time, which is worse?
No, I just to go back to Wheel of Time, because you and I, that's how we all met here. All of us, Kyle, OBG70, a lot of us who were starting out. The bait and switch you could see start happening in episode 3, and in episode 4 was the full bait and switch. I think these 2 episodes were trying to get us to believe that not Gladriel was Gladriel, that not Elrond was Elrond at all, on and on. Now they're just going to go off on some bizarro tangent, and I'm sure we're going to get the Bronwyn Strong Independent Women story, and then the Queen of Numenor with Gladriel and all the stupid men who were in their way. You know, I mean, where this goes, I don't know, but I'm going to say this for the millionth time. This is not Tolkien. This is not Middle-earth. It is not my job as a paying audience member or customer to accept counterfeit goods and to say, maybe next time they won't give me a counterfeit $100 bill. Maybe next time they won't give me another counterfeit. You know, maybe I'll get a real $100 bill sometime. I don't live my life that way. These guys are creating counterfeit substandard products. I can tell by looking at it. It is not my job to give a multi-billion, trillion-dollar transnational corporation pushing agenda a break. They need to win my business. That's all I'm going to say.
You're not going to give them a Kit Kat? Damn you. Oh, sorry.
Is that code for something?
Well, give me a break.
Oh, no, the sponsor.
Anything to add, my friend, Mr. Nate, and then we'll move on to our fail battle here.
Yeah, so you look directly on IMDb, and that bio is what Corey was showing, and you just scroll down 3 clicks, 2 clicks, however many, and there's known for Rings of Power, Utopia, Doctor Who, and an image of Wheel of Time. So it's there.
Yeah,
but Purple pointed out in chat that they even took it off of the Wikipedia page.
Yeah,
yep.
That's what Purple said right here. It's not as
Purple rocks.
Yep.
Yeah.
But Wheel of Time was such a successful show, but we're not going to let any of the directors be impacted with the knowledge that they actually were involved with it. It is so pathetic.
So, but real quick, so our poll is still rolling here. Okay, I'm going to keep it going for as long as we're streaming. So we are now at 20 votes. So thank you for voting. If you haven't voted, throw a vote on there. Wheel of Time is at 60%. Rings of Power at 40. So we'll see where that goes. I think, a lot of that is how attached somebody is to whatever property, right? But and to be fair, Rings of Power is only 2 episodes in, so it still has 6 episodes to do whatever it's going to do, right? So
And a lot of us has seen episode 8 of Wheel of Time.
well, there is that, right? I mean, come on, like
I mean, that one
sorry.
ruined even a lot of the normies.
Yeah, it was so bad. But so focusing on let me make sure I'm not missing it. Oh, sorry. Okay. Wheel of Time. So let's be fair here. First 2 episodes, right? We'll try and go 1-to-1 first 2 episodes. But first I want to discuss what we were talking about before we came on, Nathan. The most important 1-to-1 fail battle we will have. Main character to main character. So we have, I guess, the main character of Rings of Power, Galadriel, versus the main character of Wheel of Time, which is Egwene. Right? Am I wrong there, or what do you think? I mean, is that who you quantify? Like that's a big problem right off the bat.
I thought it was naive. I thought
Oh.
it was naive, to be honest with you. It was anybody who didn't have a penis was the main character of the Wheel of Time.
Well,
It's a three-headed main character.
it's but it's crazy, right? And that's one of the things that like totally like these are the things. The more I'm thinking back now, it's not as fresh. I've done some of the rewatches with the White Cloaks, and I've watched some of them, and it's hard sometimes because you're just watching your hopes and dreams be shred to pieces on the screen, right? But and they do an ample job of ripping it to shreds as it should be over there on White Cloaks, but you think about that, and the big mystery box they decided to lay on us for Wheel of Time right from episode 1, and all of a sudden Egwene, and you could tell it. I think all 3 of us and many other people I've talked to about Wheel of Time has said that Rafe Judkins, whatever you want to call him, Rajanor, the idiot with red hair, not my red hair, but Ronald McDonald red hair, right? He wants Egwene to be the main character, and it's pretty prevalent, don't you think? Or is that just me? Am I crazy?
I don't think you're crazy.
Oh. Your brain just broke. I could see it.
I know it broke. I was chewing because I'm trying to eat lunch because I gotta go back to work.
I saw Nathan's head break in real time.
It split in half and spilled out, and I just had a serious hit of stream brain on that one. Holy crap!
Well, it's just like it's a major knock against the Wheel of Time show for me. It puts so there's a lot of things that tip it over the edge, but you have Rand, who's such an awesome character, and there's so much to work with. And they don't do anything with it, and they focus on Egwene for the first. I mean, like if you put a timer to it, the first episode is basically Egwene, right?
True. Yeah.
So
and we covered this, 6-7 months ago, I think back in January. What was, I'm pretty sure, was the leaked first script.
Oh yeah.
And there's another major YouTuber who started covering Wheel of Time who said he was 99% sure that was a real script. The one that was that harder R, more adult Wheel of Time thing. And it was all about the boys are it's debauchery and all this other stuff. And it was all the Whammon show with like pagan sacrifice and rubbing goat blood on themselves and like going into mystic pools. And it was all about Egwene. And I think they tried to hack that all together for whatever reason with the show that we got. But you're right. It's crazy, though, because then in episode 2, they focused on Nynaeve, who then turned into Rambo to fight the Predator.
Well, wait. No, she got Nynaeve was episode. Was that 2 or 3?
I thought it was 2. It was 2
because 2 was Shadow Logoth. 2. It's 3. 3 and it was Nynaeve getting Nynaeve. Yeah, I'm pretty sure 3 is Nynaeve Rambo that wakes up because the Trolloc just decided that he wasn't hungry, and then instead of eating human flesh, he would eat the other Trolloc, and which makes no sense. And then Rambo Nynaeve goes to this cave that's made up about nothing, and then she dives in the water and single-handedly kills a Trolloc because she's Nynaeve.
Yeah.
right?
And then
Most
and then
incredible thing I've ever seen.
she
I
starts being useless. And then she was useless. She's hanging out with Beta
she,
Perrin wandering around, and they have no story for like 2 episodes. They're
yeah,
just
yeah,
wandering around.
because it was episode 2 was Shadar Lagoth, so like that was fun. But just gonna compare. So real quick here, because I put this up because I do terrible with super chats. But thank you again, Lyle, for $5. Hey, Salty, I still have stuff to send you. So where's your PO box already, man? You're killing me. Ha ha ha. I love how the tradition keeps going where people message Salty with super chats. I love it. Keep it coming. All right, we'll just leave it at that. The we're on the wham in the whammon ways. Our icons Xena, Landrio, and Moraine will engage in in a love exchange with their scissor bows. Wow. Okay.
I wonder if that's a sock puppet account for MV Penis. I wonder if
Uh-oh.
that's who that
Uh-oh.
is.
Let's see. Magitech Mag says, one of the main reasons why Amazon is doing a prequel, Rings of Power for Lord of the Rings, is because maybe eventually there might possibly be a plausible situation of Lord of the Rings trilogy remake. Yeah, I know somebody has been saying that off the charts. I forget. I don't know why off the top of my head, but I think it was man, who was it saying this is just they're
I
positioning
was.
themselves. I know. I guess it's been a few people who've been positioning
Yeah.
themselves to redo the trilogy, which I think is probably absolutely correct.
Yeah, and
We'll see.
you can see it because the Embracer Group, who just bought the rights to this to make the motion pictures, already own Dark Horse Comics. Dark Horse Comics is already coming out with those images we had a few weeks ago. Remember what Aragorn looked like? Remember what Legolas looked like? I'm still going to say that I believe the groundwork is already laid to completely redo the trilogy and to
Yeah.
make it more modern and accessible.
I think they're gonna try. So I mean, same thing's happening with same thing's happening with Star Wars. I think they're still biding their time to try and get to that original trilogy too, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
so I mean, we could go down another whole rabbit hole, but it's one of those. They're positioning themselves. You just said it. Movie theaters are playing old movies to get people in the seats. So now they're failed adaptations, or they're adaptations that aren't accurate and people aren't buying into. They're going to go, well, let's try video games. So they're going to try video games, and then after they ruin all the video game storylines, then they're going to go, well, what's left? We've remade all of our cartoons, and those all suck now. We destroy because dude. I read that they're going to redo Disney's Robin Hood, the cartoon one, live action. So there's going to be a live action Wolf Robin Hood, or I'm sorry, Fox Robin Hood. They're doing Sword in the Stone. I mean, they're doing all of them, right? So they're going to go
Little
through
Mermaid.
they're going through all of those, and then they're going to go, well, we're out of stuff to do. Let's just remake the most popular stuff we can get. So, real quick, Lyle, thank you for coming, buddy, and for all the super chats.
See you later.
We'll see what happens with the Rings of Power. We'll be talking. So we'll be talking about it, and it's always nice having chat, my friend. So appreciate it, and have a great day, my man.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, real quick, because this is Eris video drop, just because I haven't seen this account in chat before. So thank you for being here. Wheel of Time hurt more because I had expectations, and it's my favorite series. I am right there with you.
Yep.
That's exactly how I feel. Go ahead, Salty. Sorry about
No,
that.
Mike, what you were just talking about and going back to why movie theaters are going bankrupt, why movie theaters are charging $3 and giving you popcorn. Think about that. That's the way for these movie days. $3 is a deal, right? I'd go, but they're so desperate. They're not only doing that, they're $3 and a small popcorn to go watch an old movie.
Yeah.
They gave me
So they're taking a hit on their big money maker.
Bingo. The only real source of revenue. Because when you're a movie theater with a first run movie, 90% of the box office for the first, I don't know how many weeks of a first run movie, like a Marvel movie, 90 to 95% of it goes to the studio. The theater only gets 5% of the box office, which is why popcorn costs $10,000.
But it's also crazy. Like, I couldn't believe it because I haven't been to the movie theaters, or I hadn't been. So Sonic 2 with my kids, right? But I went to see Maverick, and they gave me popcorn. I was like, they just gave it to me. I'm like, they're like, you want a popcorn? I'm like, yeah, I'm not a member of anything. They're like, it's okay. Here. I'm like, Okay, like
Yeah.
isn't this like worth $20? Like, so
Yeah.
yeah,
But then that movie is the case of why they're desperate to get people in, because that movie, normal movies lately have been not staying in the theaters very long. They get 3-4 weeks maybe on the top end, and then they're moving on to the streaming services. I don't know that Maverick's completely out of theaters yet.
Not
I'm
at
not
all.
sure.
Not at
Yeah, I
all.
don't know.
Here in Texas, there's a
Maybe.
small town with a small, tiny little theater that probably was built in the 30s, and they're going to do a special showing because it's a good ways from my house, but I'm a good ways from everywhere. But it's a little theater. They're having like they're going to show it for 1 week, and people were losing their minds over it just to go to this tiny little one screen small screen theater to sit in an old place like that and have
Yeah.
popcorn and just watch because it's not the big cineplex stuff. People want this stuff. Where I was
Yeah.
going with all this thing was we were talking about why are these theaters showing old movies. I was thinking about it. What have I watched and what have I bought for DVDs or on streaming? What am I consuming? You know what I'm consuming? Stuff from the 80s
Yeah.
and the 90s and the 2000s. I am not watching anything new that's came out. Now, Dune, yes. Top Gun, yes, but nothing else. I'm watching
Yeah.
the old good stuff because it has a real story.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Well, no, that's what I've been spending my time. I'm watching. I mean, it's not old stuff, but I'm going. Everybody's telling me watch Ted Lasso, so I started watching Ted Lasso. I didn't, watch the whole season of the Office, or like the whole series of The Office, because there's nothing else to watch, right? So it's like I'm going back and watching old movies. I watched The Last Starfighter the other day. Like it's
Oh.
just, yeah, it's dying, and there's a lot of good stuff to watch, and it's just like it makes these things even more hard because it should be so easy, right? But it
And
obviously,
you don't need to have the high quality CG
yeah,
Nope.
that
you
people
don't,
want to sit there and say that you need, because we're not even getting it with the modern day stuff on Disney or Amazon
yeah,
or any other place really. I mean, every now and again you get that, but you don't need that stuff. I mean, you can go ahead and have the cheesy stuff on there and people will still enjoy it nonetheless because it's the story that matters. That's
Yeah.
why when the director said for House of the Dragon, well, I think people are most going to be excited to see dragons. Yeah. And it's like, dude, you couldn't be more wrong.
yes,
People
Yeah.
want to see a good story, which is why they're getting such a positive response, despite what they've been going
same.
all over the map with after the shows. But with the first 2 episodes, people have been enjoying it.
Yeah.
So that's why there's a lot of buzz about House of Dragon. That's why there's a lot of buzz about Stranger Things, because people are
Yeah.
enjoying their stories. They don't give a shit about everything else,
Yeah, the vision,
and
the visuals are supposed
House
to
of
be the.
Dragon is working because despite all that. I mean, that's what's neat about that thing.
I mean, the visuals are important, but they're like the cherry on top, right? I mean, like how good the dragons look. Obviously, they need to look good, or you're gonna be like. But that's like the cherry. It's like, okay, you get this big discussion, and the dragon comes flying in, right?
Mhm.
So the visuals are important on a level, but that's not what we're. I'm not gonna stare and look at a dragon flying around for 20 minutes and be like, "Woo, look at that!
Well,
It's flying for 20
pe-
minutes."
people will go back and watch the original trilogy of Star Wars all the time.
Yep.
And when you watch Star Wars on a higher grade television, you see all those little ships are kind of blocked out and moving across the screen with a different shade of black with it. And we don't give a crap because it
I'd
was a
much
good
rather
story.
I'd much rather have that on VHS where you
Hmm.
could see the panes with the original story before Lucas started screwing around with it and putting rocks in front of R2D2 and all this
Yeah,
other stuff.
yeah,
I would much
absolutely.
rather see what I saw in the cinema, the original theatrical release, warts and all, because that is the actual flippin' movie.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean,
Real
if
quick,
Disney really wanted to rake in some cash, they would re-release the original cinematic releases of those movies,
in
and
the
Disney would
theaters,
actually rake in a shitload of money for it.
in the
Yeah, same
theaters,
thing
yeah,
with Indiana Jones. Same thing with Indiana
Mhm.
Jones.
all of it,
Seriously.
all of
Yeah.
it, yeah. Just remaster it in 4K or something. Just make it look a little bit more crisp if you have to, and throw it on the big screen. You're gonna rake in all kinds of money.
Yeah, it's
Like,
almost like they don't wanna make money. All they wanna
yeah,
do is push agenda, and I have to
mm,
stop talking about what they do at
yeah.
kids. But yeah,
Yeah. Real quick, our poll still going up. Lots of vote. 28. We're at 28 votes. So thank you everybody that's voted.
Hang on.
Keep voting. Keep voting. Wheel of Time is starting to take a good lead here. We're at 61% for Wheel of Time, 39 for Rings of Power. So I'm actually a little surprised at that. So, but not. I mean, obviously I picked I picked Wheel of Time, but I figure I know people are not enjoying Rings of Power, but I guess the Wheel of Time is just
Do
hurting
do
more,
you
I guess.
do you think the reason why is because people know this isn't Tolkien? Like, it's
I
not Tolkien at
well,
all, you know?
I think probably at least in chat. Please correct me. Tell me why you voted which one way or the other in chat, please, because I find this all very incredibly fascinating. I don't know about you guys, but I think this is. I think people were more prepared for this. I think there were a lot of people calling out a lot of stuff on Rings of Power about how it wasn't going to be what you expect. You're going to have a lot of this BS in it, whereas Wheel of Time has a bigger following than people want to give credit to. At least mainstream people want to give Wheel of Time credit for. Has a large following, but there wasn't a lot of people out there, including myself at first. Before it came out, I was pretty hyped up for it. You could go back to the beginnings of this channel. I was very hopeful, and then we were immediately crushed.
Yeah,
Um, so I think that's part of the element was there was a lot of hope. Wheel of Time had been waiting forever to
yeah,
have something, some sort of
Mhm.
adaptation, animation, something. There was
yeah,
nothing but the books, which are fabulous.
yeah,
Um, and there was nothing. And this was the chance. Well, I'm sorry, that's not true. We had Winter Dragon, which is looking like a shining star of light compared to what we got, which is scary. But there was nothing. So I think that is fact. At least in my opinion, that's factoring into people's feelings. Is there weren't a lot of people going this beware, and it just was immediately deflating. What do you
yeah.
think? I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I remember I had started my channel back in 2018, 2019, and I remember finding an article about Rafe Judkins. I didn't know who he was. And I think I made a video back in April or March of last year, well before the show came out, where they started to talk about the casting choices. And that was the very first Wheel of Time video I ever did. And people over a year and a half now are still leaving comments on that video
Yeah.
that I made
Yep.
and
Me too.
responding to it because they they said they were aging up the characters and they said they were doing this and then they showed who was being cast and that was the first sign that we knew something was going to go sideways. And then for me the big event was at a Comic-Con, I think in October or September, Rafe Judkins talked about how they're going to age up the characters and have them be more adults so they can make them more relatable to an audience. And it's like, yeah, I mean, the thing is that was Robert Jordan's world.
Yeah.
We're looking at in the
Mhm.
Rings of Power, Payne McKay's world, you know?
Yeah. So, well, Mr. Zip said right there, original material, ROP, fictitious BS, right? So I think that's nail on the head there. Did now I'm not. Maybe you guys remember. Purple Valkyrie brings up an interesting question. Did Wheel of Time bash fans before release? I don't remember. I don't think there was much fan bashing. Do you? I don't remember.
There was on YouTube videos asking questions about the casting, about the direction they were going to take the show, about quoting Rafe Judkins, about quoting Brandon Sanderson before the show even came out, especially about Perrin and about what they were doing with Matt.
Yeah.
There was a lot of social media stuff that went that way.
Okay.
But it wasn't until the first episode that they came after us hard,
Yeah.
where we
Because I
said this
wasn't.
is
I was.
not Wheel of Time.
I
Yeah.
wasn't doing any Twitter or Reddit or anything at that point. So like I was looking up articles and stuff, and I don't remember there being many articles going. Egwene is the best, and if you don't like her, you're a bigot. I don't remember much of that happening, at least in that sphere. I could be wrong, but that was also first stages of my YouTube channel. So, but I don't know. So obviously there was some, but I don't know that was on the same level as what we're dealing with some of this stuff. What do you think?
No, no, and that's why the onslaught started early. They again, how many times have I said this? You guys said this. Wheel of Time was the testing ground on how to do this with a fantasy show. They failed with Wheel of Time, and they just had to keep lying about the numbers and the viewers, and that's why they started in February, and the media was in lockstep with the release of the show, with everything. An article would come out, and within 24 hours, they had pre-written arguments about you're a racist and this and a foe, blah 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 blah. It didn't work for the Rings of Power either, but they started it with Wheel of Time.
Yep. So real quick, Magitech Mags, Wheel of Time, mainly because I heard and watched the rage and anger that was far greater, my perspective, than what was going on with Lord of the Rings. I don't know why Wheel of Time fans almost looked blindsided and far more shocked. I think that's exactly nail on the head there, because I know I was.
Bingo.
I mean, I had a lot of like, I was seeing things that were sort of red flags, but I was still hopeful. I was still willing. I was still like, okay, we've been waiting forever. I can't wait to see this happen. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. And then just crushed. So I think there is really something to that. And then SB 129. I reread the whole book series before watching Waste of Time and went in completely blind, hoping it was good. Talk about complete abomination. It only took seconds. And that's, again, same thing. Is that like that's what a lot of people did. Reread everything to get ready. There was a lot of prepping involved, and just, at least Lord of the Rings had, The Hobbit wasn't the greatest, but I mean, you got what could be called, probably might be the greatest trilogy of all time in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. There's nothing like that for Wheel of Time, so this was our chance for something Wheel of Time, and they squandered it, and this is what we're stuck with. So I think there's a lot to say about. That's why people, I would assume that's why people are voting that way right now. Now, again, 2 episodes into Ring of Power, who knows? Who knows what damage they could do?
Well,
right?
it was a gut punch to a lot of those fans for the Wheel of Time, and they, for me, all the information that I was looking at with casting stuff, I wasn't getting deep into who the director was, who the showrunner was, who the actors were. I was sitting there. I would watch and catch videos by David Green or Nablus and guys like that for the information on the show, thinking that they were trustworthy sources. And then when the show came around and opened up, it was just all of a sudden you're kind of like, what did I just watch? I mean, this is nothing like the books. This is nothing like what the shills were in preparation for. It was all cloak and dagger crap on the front end. And so when fans like us who were of that lead in come around to see it, it really prepped us for Rings of Prime.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to do this bullshit again.
Yeah, and what you saw was, again, Amazon learned from what they did with Wheel of Time. They didn't buy off the Wheel of Time fan sites. They learned from that. That's why they flew all the people out to London, all these other places, gave them goodie bags, and then made them sign NDAs not to talk about the show. And some of those sites are still toting the line. We went head to head with Fellowship of the Fandom, the guys who jacked me out of the stream and knocked me out and banned me from talking with them. And we beat them. We really did. But these guys, I looked at their faces on their live stream and nobody looked happy. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? You got a goodie bag. You got to go to London. That's awesome. You got talked to by a Tolkien expert. That's awesome. But you have destroyed your credibility. And that's what Amazon learned. They're like, we have to infiltrate these fan groups to artificially create organic buzz about this show. And it fell flat.
Yeah, well, I think, and this comment from Purple Valkyrie is dead on. Fantasy shows being made by people who don't understand or even like fantasy, and that's what we're hitting, not with just fantasy, but pretty much all media. I've said it several times. I don't know if I've said it live. The worst thing to happen to geek culture was for it to get popular. It's been infiltrated by people that just want to be trendy. They have nothing. They know nothing about any of these fandoms or any of these things, the IPs that they have infiltrated. They just know that the comic books are now popular, so I need to be popular. I need to get my comic book and get my Instagram photo with my Spider-Man or whatever, right? So the worst thing that ever happened to geek, nerd culture, whatever you want to call it, was that it became mainstream and popular, because that was the start of the downfall, because all these people that have no knowledge or no imagination or don't care about it are the ones that have started adapting and making this stuff. I mean,
In
because all they're
addition,
interested in is taking the established IP and
bingo.
incorporating the fan base of the established IP to make money or to just demolish and destroy,
Yeah,
or both.
absolutely.
Or insert ideology. Look at Saman
Mm.
Aminata, whatever the hell her name is. They stuck her into Marvel Comics. What is her claim to fame? She's related to the Clinton family, used to work for the Clinton administration for Hillary Clinton. What is a woman like that doing going into comics?
Yeah.
All
Right.
of those things, they're one-offs, but we've seen this over and over and over and over again. Every single thing we love has been infiltrated not just by substandard writing, but by a perversion of source material to merely push ideology.
Yeah.
It is absolutely undeniable. And the arguments that have come out when you say, I don't like your story, are you're a racist and you're a bigot and you're MAGA ultra and all this other bullshit. And it's
Yeah.
like they're reacting from an ideological standpoint about a creative thing. So that tells you
Yeah.
who we're dealing with and why they're making it, in my opinion.
And there's another interesting thing too, that with all these reviews now that have been coming out with Rings of Prime, and if you've noticed, especially a lot of the videos, I don't know if you've noticed, they've always begun the review with the embargo is over.
Yeah.
So they've been waiting to say something, and it's not that isn't really a a positive thing to having be said about Amazon, because if you want to produce something and have people say good things about your videos or your movies or whatever, why would you want an embargo? I mean, I know that's they would say that for spoilers' sake, but when people are celebrating that the embargo is over and that they can now talk about it, it's kind of like, well, that's kind of, Amazon was being a dick about it.
Yeah. Well, real quick, our poll is now at 30 votes. We are 60-40 Wheel of Time. So
That's a big
Wow.
poll.
yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, keep it coming, guys. But real quick, so now I want to do some 1-to-1s here real quick. So we're in episode 1 or 2. Okay, we'll try and ignore the rest.
Can
know
I
we
do a
tried to
little karaoke? Can I do a little karaoke?
Yeah, of course, man. Go ahead.
One on one, I wanna play that game tonight.
You got rid
Thank
of
you.
the ignorant slut thing, man. I was just about to play it.
Oh,
Dang
I'll
it.
get it. I'll get it.
But what I want to do, and so we'll just go broad. First 2 episodes, CGI. Let's think about CGI from Wheel of Time episodes 1 and 2, and CGI from Rings of Power. Which one do we think is better?
Wait a minute. You're comparing the Joe Cocker, Jim Belushi, Joe Cocker imitation of casting?
Jane, you ignorant slut.
Oh, sorry, I had to do it. Sorry, it was just
No.
too much fun.
But I mean, you guys remember what it was like when they had Moiraine casting, and it's like she was trying to wave at people that were on a ship far away. It was absolutely crazy,
Yeah.
I mean, and it looked like John Belushi doing Joe Cocker. I will give you that in a second, but yeah.
Well, but so because I'm gonna be completely. I think that so far the Rings of Power CGI is much better than the CGI Wheel of Time.
But so
I
the
don't
name
know.
of the show is What's Worse, though.
Okay,
right?
so Wheel of Time is worse than Rings of Power. You're right. I'm sorry, I forgot my own title. You're right. So I think by far those Trollocs look stupid.
Oh, so
It was so awkward, their movement. The weaving is terrible. She's doing hula hoops in the middle of Edmonds Field. I guess that's what it is. And freaking like and then she destroys a building by throwing like everything. It's just the CGI in the Wheel of Time is so bad. So bad. And at least I believe that shark monster was could have been real, right? I mean, I'm gonna keep going back to that shark monster and unprove your point about the dragons were cool, Nathan. But that shark monster was cool. Right?
the shark monster was cool, but
hey,
when
we
that
hit 20
tail hit
viewers.
the water, that should have
Yeah.
pulled Galadriel underneath the water big time.
I think I was in the live watch. Every time it hit the boat, I'm like, they're dead. They're dead. They're dead again. Because they should have been, right? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Well, that respawn thing is a pain in the ass.
What do we got here? Oh, what am I? Oh, is this Is
Oh
this
yeah, yeah. I'll
Moraine?
show you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Moiraine. Oh god, I have so many things open. Okay, this is Moiraine casting. Here you go. Watch this. This is casting by Moiraine. See,
Uh,
wait for him to
The
do it.
sound's off on the video.
Oh, I know. I know. I don't want you to
Yeah.
get struck. You
Oh.
know? Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds.
See
It
him?
looks exactly
That's it.
like it.
That's
That's
casting.
it.
That's casting. Yeah. This is casting. See, that's casting. Yep.
Yeah, that's her weaving away right there.
Yep. There it is.
Absolutely.
That's what Moiraine looks like.
Oh god. That's it. Oh,
Oops.
it
I didn't
stopped.
do anything. You did
There we
that.
go.
Jane, you ignorant slut.
There we go. I love it. But I don't know. So is that? I mean, are we all in agreement on there, or what do you guys think? I'm not saying that like
Oh.
the Rings of Power CGI was through the roof, and I know like the forced perspective was not good, but that's not I guess it's effects,
that's
right?
general production right there. But in terms of the CGI, there's no doubt that it's that the worst one is Wheel of Prime. It's with the weaves in general. With that whole first episode when she's sitting there in Emmons Field, which they called Two Rivers, and sitting there doing those weaves. I mean, she looked like she was trying to balance herself on a small little podium, and so she didn't want to throw herself off balance and fall off the damn thing. And the weaves being one color and destroying everything, and the rocks were not believable. The Trollocs were all
They're fixing
fake,
that.
and
But they're fixing that,
it
right?
just
They're fixing that.
supposedly.
Well,
I
yeah, we'll
believe
see.
that about as far as I
Oh
can
my
throw it.
god. Do you guys need me to go all the way back into my saved images and get some of these things you're talking about?
Hold on,
I will. I got
I'm
all
trying to
that.
get a hula hoop right here. So keep vamp. Oh, here we go. All right, let's see if this
I
brings
got
down my
'em.
stream here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, good
Um,
call.
We'll see
the
here. We'll keep vamp for me for a second while I get this.
yeah. But if you look at the CG of Rings of Prime last night, when her brother's walking over the hill and you see Valinor and you see the two trees, and that was actually a really good shot that we all saw in the trailer. And there were other good scenes that were produced really well. There were some equally horrible CGI scenes that were also done. And their use of water stages and other scenes was pretty poor. But
Yeah.
in general, there were some very believably good scenes done with some CGI work last night. That was probably the only thing that I could appreciate from the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. All right, you ready? Here we go. Here comes hula hoop. Hopefully, I don't get
Yeah.
taken down for this. Probably no sound.
Don't
but here
do
we go.
audio. Yeah, don't do audio.
Yep.
Yep.
Here it comes. Oh, pause it
There
real
it
quick.
is.
It wasn't quick.
Yeah.
There it comes.
There it is. There it is. Joe Cocker.
Oh.
Joe Cocker.
Let's
So
get some
bad.
more. Where is it? Oh no! Now he's doing his little bad. Here it comes. All right. Bad sword fighting. Weird look. Here. Oh. What was that? So bad. Sorry, she just like ducks. It's like what are we talking about here? This is so. Oh, here comes the big hula hoop moment.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
Okay.
Oh, so wonderful.
Destroying a small town. There you go.
She is so stunning and brave.
I know.
You dumb Trolloc, you. Oh, we better pause it for a second. Don't want to lose the stream. But yeah, I mean, like the choreography is like, I mean, what? Oh man, that's the next one. Oh gosh. I can't watch this anymore.
Yeah.
I can't go through this
the
again.
sword sweep.
I'm taking it down. Now you got the angry. The only one fighting is the women's circle, right? So it's like,
yeah.
So it's just so bad. You can't even get over it. Right?
And once you start looking at episode 1, we all go back to what they did to Rand, where they deliberately left out one of the most powerful, important scenes in The Eye of the World, which is Rand fighting the Trollocs and then trying to save his father by dragging him through the woods at night while evading Trollocs and the Forsaken. And we don't get any of that. Instead, we got women power with pitchforks in town. And again, in the books, they didn't write about the Trolloc attack.
Well,
you never read about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And all on the altar of Mystery Box, because they did not want to reveal Rand's thoughts. Rand is going through the forest. 7. Yep. Rand is going through pulling his, doubting his whole life, and it's a powerful scene. It's a great scene, and you lose it. And we put it in. Not really, didn't put it in episode 7, whatever that was. That wasn't the scene. It was terrible. But you lose that all on the altar of Mystery Box, because we have to try and keep it a mystery that Rand is the Dragon Reborn. Spoilers. The true Dragon Reborn, right? So we have to we lose all that because Mystery Box. Because we don't understand that people are done with mystery boxes and just want a good story told. Real quick, we got a member here, Vic Rattlehead. And thank you for being here, my friend, and being a member. Moron in Wheel of Time cuts was moron. I'm assuming that's Moraine slang.
Yeah.
In Wheel of Prime, cuts was way worse than made up characters in Rings of Prime. And I'm leaning that way on a lot of this stuff myself. Just, and I don't know, but yeah. So are we all in agreement that the fail battle is won by Wheel of Time when it comes to CGI, at least so far?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You've shared something else here. What is
Yeah,
this?
share that image. This was the bad guy.
Like
This was the bad guy in the first couple episodes of Wheel of Time. Those of you who read the book know how amazing it was in that dream world and what it all looked like. And this is what they did. They had a hockey mask with LEDs that you could buy at Target to scare kids at Halloween, and that's what they chose to do.
Oh, hey, real quick. Sorry, I didn't see that because thank you, Nathan, for pointing that out. Vic, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. That is really, really awesome. I'm hoping to do some member streams or something. I was hoping to get, once we get some more members going, so it's not just me by myself in a room. I'd
come. Purple
well,
would come.
So we're gonna hook some of that up soon, and probably I gotta get a discount going for my merch too, because there's some cool little things you can get from there too if you want stickers and stuff. But Vic Rattlehead, thank you so much for the gifted subs. That's awesome.
Look at Magitech Max. Look at Magitech.
No.
What happened? Is this Ghost Rider or Grayskull's friend? What the terrible skull or I don't know, like what
And it's a perfectly legit question considering how much time they spent doing this bullshit.
Well, and I have to say, it's amazing because I think I was still in a little bit of denial here because I feel like I remember saying, because I hated it from the start, but I feel like I remember saying, well,
you did to
at least his eyes were red and on fire. Like I was trying to say this was okay, and it's just like, and it's right. Like Vic again, bad guy at least has a killer smoking jacket. I mean, what is like? It's so bad, right? So, oh man,
and I'm not poking fun at you, and I'm not shaming you at all because you challenged me, and you thought I was being too hard on the show, and because you had faith because you wanted it to be good. And I understood that. And it wasn't until episode 4 when you went F this show, F Rafe Judkins, F all of this, because you thought they were going to turn it around. Yeah, and I admired that. I really did. And I wanted them to, but I kept saying, once they changed the story, all the little changes, aging characters up, changing things about Rand, Egwene, Moiraine, Matt, Perrin, it becomes fractal. The changes become exponential because you can't swerve back into the world that Robert Jordan created. It was over by 5. It was really over by 3, but it was bad.
It's a very and just the gifted subs thing, or the gifted you have to, anybody in chat, I think there's a thing you can click to allow for gifts. I don't know,
you have to enable it. Purple knows about that. Purple Valkyrie, you have to accept. You can go up, there's a corner, there's 3 dots. Anyway, yeah, it will be offered to you as an individual. If you're already a channel member, it won't go to you. So
is there a way, do I have to do something, or is it just good to go?
No, it will be in chat and it will auto-populate to anybody that doesn't have a membership, I believe. So
well, thank you. Sorry, new to this. Vic, again, thank you. And anybody that gets a membership, welcome. So thank you for becoming Dragon Sworn, right? It's just, yeah, we'll just leave that. The CGI bad, just horrible, right? So the next thing I want to ask, okay, real quick, this is gonna be a tough one. 1-to-1, which was worse? The amount of horses, which was worse?
See, you had
Wait, what are
0.
you doing? What are you doing?
Well, like it drives me crazy. It just like okay, so Wheel of Time at least, like at the very, I'm trying to be fair. At least
Oh my God.
tried to
Maybe.
recognize traveling over a period of
True.
time as a thing.
True.
They at least, now we're going beyond episode 1 and 2, so I'm being a little bit, I'm breaking my own rules, but whatever, screw it. At least they were using their travel mechanics and horses, and they actually recognized that these things, that I'm not going down the street to my bro's house to go, like, hang out and cast spells. But Rings of Prime, they are walking everywhere because they either were afraid the horses had the coof, or they didn't train their actors to ride horses, or their dresses that everybody was wearing, they didn't want to mess them up on horses, and they just walk down the street to the local cave where they can have a hammer down and bash some rocks. I don't like. I guess the acknowledgement that there's a world to travel in annoyed me very much. Does that make sense?
It does. And this is not shameless
Mhm.
self-promotion. This is just one of the only images that I still have from that time period. But they did ride horses. And remember when Stepan, the guy who deleted himself because he didn't want to be gay, yeah, that happened. They were riding
It did
horses
happen.
to go to the White Tower. Yeah.
Well, and they traveled and time passed, and like, it was one of those, like, time passed. Like that's the thing. It's like it wasn't just
Yeah.
like hey, we got to go make a forge. Okay, next scene, let's walk around this cave. It's like it was so jarring. Like was it not, like I think I said it in the watch. I was just like, what the, where, I think I started
Yeah.
laughing my ass off because it's like,
We
where are the
did.
horses?
Well, at least they could have done like what Wheel of Time did and said 1 month later.
Or something, right? Or like
Yeah.
like 18 million steps later, they made it's like, what, did they ride their magic carpets? Like I don't know. It just it annoyed me so
Yeah.
much that they didn't acknowledge that there's time in this world. The Westeros Express is completely active,
Right.
and
Well, and how they tried to get over that was by showing us map movements.
That's
That's
exactly it.
and it's pathetic. It's like one of the things that I would love for fantasy, like Witcher would have been very useful to do this, was to show a map during the show, because you're just all over the place during that show. Um, if you have a map and you're consistently referring to the map to show where things are, you're giving points of reference to the viewers. Now, it also forces you to use your time properly. But when they pan in Rings of Power, they pan all the way across the ocean for quite a bit.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
you took the whole swimming thing for Galadriel in the next episode and made it incredibly comical. And then obviously us breaking out laughing when Elrond and Celebrimbor were just walking right around the corner from where they just were to go knock on their neighbor's door.
It's
I
amazing. Go
I
ahead,
pulled
Corey.
up the Indiana Jones map to show you just how
Okay.
much it looks alike. Let me know if you're ready
There you
for
go.
it.
Yeah, it's ready.
All right, here you go. So this is pretty much what they did in the Rings of Power. Was this kind of a thing where you're doing this, only they didn't have a PBY playing. This is what they did live, only it wasn't even Nepal, and we didn't get Marion, and we didn't have good fight scenes. Oh, and the story sucked, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, but it was one of those things that just, it completely just, like, I lost it, and it's one
Yeah.
of those. Uh, it's almost a trope at this point to just ignore that these are large worlds. I mean, and then on top of it again, Galadriel in the ocean. Like, how is this a pond she's in? Like, where like you saw the map. She's sailing out in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
On an ocean that doesn't have waves.
Right.
Yeah, well, that too, right?
On an
That too.
ocean that does not have waves that look suspiciously like a very large custom-made swimming pool made to shoot a movie on. Just gonna say that.
Well, and when she finally got to the raft that Halbrand and his fellow racists were on, her arms should have looked like Hans and Franz. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, right. It should have pulled him off the boat and been like, "It's my boat. Get out of here."
Now
Oh,
every
man.
time I
Yeah.
see somebody pop up, please go back to Mags, because she
Okay.
said that boop statement. Yeah. Now every time somebody, we're gonna do this live.
Boop.
Every time somebody magically appears somewhere, I want Steve to go boop. They're there.
All
Boop,
right, done.
boop.
I got it. No problem. So
Awesome. Mags is our muse.
Matt also brings up a good Matthew Machu. Also, no sharks in this ocean. Well, actually, there's one gigantic shark. It must have ate all the other sharks, right? The one gigantic shark ate all the other sharks, right? And everything is gone. They're all afraid, yeah. But it attracts boats.
It only
It
eats
attract-
bigots.
It is.
only
It is.
eats bigots.
It is sending out a sonar buoy to get boats and wreckages.
Yes.
You know.
So the moral of the story is don't hate knife ears.
Yes. Exactly.
True.
Yeah, on a boat that does well. That's the boat that happened to run into her at the end, right? She just happened to float into a boat, right? She probably just floated into a city, right? Docked. She's just there. It's like, man, I'm so good that I just yeah. Oh my gosh.
But we saw it last
Yeah.
night. They had all those rafts lashed together. Jaws 2. Go to Jaws 2. They lashed all the rafts and busted boats together in the exact same way. So I can't help but think Payne and McKay saw Jaws 2 and was like, hey, those kids in Amity that got ate by sharks, let's steal that idea.
It was in a movie, so it has to be true.
Sorry, I'm
Oh,
just making
man.
sure. But no, these gifts. I
So-
want to make sure these gifted subs or gifted memberships went out. So everybody, make sure that you've activated the gifted members thing, because Vic was nice enough to
Yeah.
gift 5 members. So if anybody hasn't
Yep.
clicked those 3 buttons or to activate gifts, please, because Vic was very generous there, and I appreciate it. But so I guess let's see.
Well, to
how are we
answer
gonna?
your
so-
question about horses, which was
Yes.
worse in terms of the travel, worse was Rings of Power.
Yeah, by far. Well, I guess I was trying to figure out where the fail is. Is it just acknowledgement of how the world, the scope of the world? I guess because they don't acknowledge that it's a world at all. It's just sound stages. It's just okay on to stage 2. They don't acknowledge that there should be traveling. There should be time passing in between things. There's no acknowledgement of how the scope of the world. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think we all. I don't think there's any denying that at least Wheel of Time got that better. To a point, and at least it tried to use some of the traveling mechanics that are built in. Even though they
Yeah.
failed, they at least tried, right?
Can we agree that we are judging piles of excrement here?
Oh yeah,
And
well,
when
yes.
we say better, one is a rancid pile of raccoon poop, the other one is a rancid pile of bear poop. It's still excrement. It's still not the story, but one stinks less. Now, is that make it successful? No, but it is less offensive. Asterisks, in my opinion.
No, I think. Well, and that's why amply titled "Fail Battle." They both have failed, at least in my opinion, so far for Rings of Power. Wheel of Time is now a lost cause. It's now just ripping it apart, so everybody can know that it's not. It's not only not a good adaptation, it's not good fantasy. I really would like everybody to get away from this. It's okay fantasy, but didn't adapt it right, because it's not okay fantasy.
Yep.
You want to see okay fantasy? Go watch, or good
Xena.
fantasy. Go watch, original Lord of the Rings. Okay fantasy, I'd put maybe The Hobbit at okay. You got Willow, you got Excalibur, you got all these good fantasy
animated Fire and Ice, Wizards, The Hobbit, the animated Hobbits, The Last Unicorn, Flight of Dragons, all of these movies that have a hero's journey in 3-act play. Yeah.
Well, hold on. To be fair, Mags, it's not that there's horses. That was just the best way to get into it. but it's just acknowledgement that there's that there's time, the scope of the world. It's made much tinier, much more ridiculous. The fact that they didn't even get up. Like if they didn't want to put them riding, fine, have them getting off horses and or or getting out of their Corvette that they got. It's like they're driving a Corvette in Middle Earth. Like they had to get there somehow, and they did. We all know they didn't walk. So we're just not. It completely takes you out of your immersion. Like I feel like that's a big part of fantasy that these people that are making it don't get. You need to be immersed in the world. If you're not, it doesn't work.
Right. That's why when we play Dungeons and Dragons every Wednesday, Nathan and I and Purple Valkyrie and Squeak a Mouse and OBG70, when we're walking places, we don't get to fast travel. We have to experience walking, and things happen while you walk. You will be attacked by random things. You will have encounters with random passersby who may have rumors or details or something. And that's why all of that fast travel stuff, to me, violated one of the biggest rules of fantasy that you've been talking about, Steve. Fantasy, what was Tolkien's world about? It was about going through all of this rich, diverse world and seeing the people. That's why Peter Jackson took that long shot in the beginning of Fellowship to show all of the people who lived in villages watching Gandalf go by. You don't think that wouldn't have happened with Elrond and Celebrimbor, these two hoity-toity elves riding through Middle Earth, that people wouldn't have said something? It's ridiculous.
Yeah. The passage of time is incredibly important in storytelling, and especially in fantasy when your travel methods are limited. It's so incredibly important, because again, what you were talking to, Corey, what you've been talking about, Steve, is that's what is part of the immersion into it. And so when you're looking at Fellowship and they're actually making their way from Rivendell down to Caradhras and into Moria, they're going up into mountains and they're always going left to right, but it's a long travel montage.
Yep. And it's put into a place where you're like, oh, okay, this is a tough road, right? It pulls you in, right? Real quick for Pips, yes, you should probably stop sucking and be a member. You're right. This one's for you, real quick.
Jane, you ignorant slut.
There you go. All right, I got it. I got it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, that one's for you, Pips. All right. All right, so sorry. Okay, so let's see. I want Matt brought up a good point. Now, Xena and Hercules. Now, for the time period, they're fun. I enjoyed that. Like, I have a. How do I put this? These two shows I have a connection to because of my father and my mother. My mother loved Kevin Sorbo and watching Hercules, so I have very fond memories of it. It's a little bit weird to watch them these days, but you sort of just turn. I hate using the turn off your brain thing, but at least they have storylines and they're trying to be honest, right? I don't know if honest is the right word. They're within their own story and they're creating a world, right? So I would agree. I would put Xena and Hercules, even though they get a little wonky. They are half-hour shows, but I did enjoy those for what they were. So yeah.
Imagine if they kept Tom Shippey on, and they made each one of these episodes just a storyline that is established and written in the Second Age. Beren and Luthien, some of the other stories, maybe you could have had like Morgoth and Sauron and some of these other things that just would have been these beautiful, intense vignettes of 40 minutes. And yeah, you could have had Gladriel in there doing something, but showing the richness of all these regions, all like the southern regions, all of these different places. They could have did that.
Yeah.
Instead, they brought in writers from Toy Story 4, Star Trek Discovery, Hawaii Five-0 to create two people talking about feelings in front of CG screens over and over and over again. That's all this show is.
Yeah. Oh, agreed. No, yeah. So, I think there's a million things we could go over. Maybe I will. I know I've been talking. Pips is now in chat. I know Pips is he wasn't able to get on with us today, so I may do this again because it's just there's so much meat on this bone because both of these shows have been just decimated. But
Yeah.
I do find it interesting to just sort of break them apart like this, because it's like, okay, well, Rings of Power did this better, barely. Well, did it better compared, like you said, comparing piles of garbage, right? So
Poop. I said poop. Poop.
poop. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Well, I,
It's
I
okay.
I will say piles of garbage, but did they really? Philip
Wow.
HBO releasing the first episode of House of the Dragon on YouTube last night. I think that's actually really, really smart.
It's
Just
genius. It's
fucking
genius.
Yeah.
dude, that
So
is
HBO seems to be stepping up their game here. So, yeah, agreed.
Chads.
HBO twisted
Yeah.
the knife. Now
Bingo.
we've talked about it briefly. Now they just need to, like, not just keep
Screw the
going.
pooch.
Just
Don't screw the pooch.
don't let your actors
Yep.
talk anymore. Don't let your showrunner talk. Just keep
Yeah.
producing quality content where I'm immersed in that world right now. Sorry, go ahead, Nathan.
But this is actually really uh, a big deal. This is HBO saying we actually have confidence in what we've produced and are bringing to the customer. Whereas when
Yes.
you look at what Rings of Prime did, is everything was freaking hidden. Even when they released trailers, there was nothing about story at all whatsoever. You did get that with trailers with House of the Dragon. We knew what you guys were going into with House of the Dragon to somewhat of an extent. You had no idea what we were getting in terms of the whole Rings of Prime stuff.
Yeah.
It's there's confidence that HBO is saying we've got a good product, and then we're going to sit here and put our balls on the table for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I said
No,
it live. The first episode, Steve, at the end of the first episode,
Yep.
no one saw it. I said they just cut the effing head off of Rings of Power in the House of the Dragon with episode 1.
yeah.
Here we are. Everything that was in any trailer we have seen for this show, the most Tolkien things have already been shown. They got nothing left. They got nothing Tolkien left. They can't even pretend anymore. It's just Payne and McKay now.
Real quick, I know you gotta take off here in a minute, Salty, but Vic Rattle heading traveling for what, 100 rupees? We said it is, right? Thank you for that, Salty. Appreciate it. I would have never figured it out. Traveling in fantasy is basically the best excuse for the author to go hard on character development. If writers cannot write traveling scenes, damn. Right, and that's the big problem with Rings of Power is, and I said it multiple times during our watch. Every scene is two people standing in front of each other, really close to the camera, talking about nonsense. Then you have another scene where it's three characters talking nonsense. Then you have a bunch of faux hobbits talking a nonsense language that you can't understand about nonsense. There's a lot of that going on, and it's all very transparent that you just didn't, it's like, the COVID excuses are going to fly, and I'm tired of them. Yeah, especially when you got well, it was House of the Dragon recorded this or filmed about the same time as Rings of Power. I don't know. See that? I don't know, because that show has people everywhere, and it's so great to just.
I think they
lived in
filmed
world.
some of it in Croatia and Bulgaria, and COVID didn't make people sick there. It was only in the United States where COVID was a thing, as far as I can tell.
So real quick, so just Philip, thank you for bringing up all this stuff, because if you haven't watched House of the Dragon, I would highly suggest you go give it a shot on the HBO Max YouTube channel and see what you think. Especially if you've watched Rings of Power, it's a completely different feeling. It's enjoyable to watch. It's a great time. Sorry, go ahead. Do you got to take off something?
No, but I was going to say I'm using the same metrics for Rings of Power I am for House of Dragon. The same criteria I've showed you before, Steve. And so when I give a out of 10 score for my aggregate score for 2 episodes of House of the Dragon is 7.5 out of 10. Being critical. My generous score for the Rings of Power after 2 episodes is under 2. Being generous. That is legitimately how I feel. I'm not doing this to rage farm or any of that stuff. I'm using the same criteria for all of these shows, and I went over them in my videos I dropped today that you guys were part of. You know, it's not just like, oh, I don't like this because a big YouTuber said I shouldn't, and it's like, no, I don't like this for XYZ reasons, and that's what you guys are doing. We don't like this for X, Y, and Z reasons.
Yeah, Pip, stop. Thanks for stopping in. I think I'm gonna do this again with maybe like just I know we just talked about it because I'd love to chat with you about some of this too because you're one of my Wheel of Time homies. So it'd be good to get your take on some of this stuff too. I find it fascinating because um, they just don't know how to do fantasy, and I think the biggest thing that comes from this is we're talking about which one's worse, right? And I want to go over the poll here because we're almost going on 2 hours. So thank you guys all for being here in chat and Nathan and Salty, but because it's been awesome. But the biggest thing I want to take from this is we're talking about which is worse, right? I want people to realize that there's good fantasy out there, and this shouldn't be given a pass. Is just okay This is okay fantasy. This is not the worst fantasy show ever. They are not good fantasy. This is not how fantasy shows should be done. They shouldn't be given. It's like saying well as an adaptation, it's a 3, but as a fantasy show, it's a 6. It's like no. We need to stop doing that. We need to stop saying it's not good fantasy. Period. Do you guys agree with that statement or no?
Amen. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
So real quick before we take off, and thank you all for being here and overwhelmed. I think we had quite a few people here and y'all hung out. Our poll, it's been up for a little bit over an hour. We hit 47 votes, which is awesome.
Nice.
But we're pretty much it's been pretty much sitting at 60-40 since we got to that range. So 60-40 Wheel of Time over Rings of Power is worse. So like I said, I would like to do this again with some more different takes from other people because I find this discussion fascinating, and it's only fortunately Rings of Power has, well, I shouldn't say that. I should be fair. Rings of Power could recover. I don't see it happening. I knew they would get a laugh, but I hope. All right, hold on. I'll do it for myself.
Jane, you ignorant slut.
There you go. Okay, I got one. All right, that was for me. Sorry. I hope we're not adding a third show to this in the Rings of Power. I heard Salty mention Flight of Dragons. Excellent, of course. Also, if you want great fantasy series to read, it's based on a book series by Gordon Dixon. The Dragon, is it the Dragon, the George? Okay. And that's the other thing is too, is like, stop it. If you can't adapt it on screen, stop. Because I'm getting, there's a video I want to make about Sanderson's into the
oh yeah,
he's got a game out, which I'm going to talk about here soon, but he is next year is going to be the year of Sanderson. Don't you doubt it. So we'll see what happens. Maybe he can turn it around. Maybe it's just going to be the same thing. We will see. This list could get incredibly long. This could be Wheel of Time versus Rings of Power versus House of the Dragon versus Mistborn versus Star. It could get incredibly long. And
I'll set that up.
Yeah.
I'll set it up in an Excel spreadsheet using the criteria that I have, and I'll let you guys review it, because then we can start applying metrics to this. And the subjective is important, but objectively, why do we feel the way that we do? I think maybe doing that would be really cool to line those things up.
Absolutely. So yeah, but we're gonna jet here. Nate, you got anything to plug? I know you have a few videos coming out, or have had some too.
Yeah, just did a video where I read a portion or the closing of The Return of the King, the passage at the Grey Havens in honor of Tolkien's passing. And at the beginning of the video, I showed off some of the books that I have, and it was just a fun little video, and I love reading that ending. It's awesome. So check that out, because reading the material is the best therapy for all this stuff. And there's no better poet in terms of modern day fantasy than J.R.R. Tolkien and his prose.
Yeah.
So check that out. And then we got this week. I've got D&D on Wednesday, hopefully, and might do another video or two. Who knows? We'll see how my schedule goes with kids. So
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Salsa,
Don't
what you got
share
going on?
that. Don't share that. So this is a warning for those of you. It's either going to be in episode 3 of Rings of Power or episode 4. I think it'll be in 3. We're going to see Princess Diza, who is a stage operatic singer. I did a video on this with Mana Manethrin a couple of months ago where we talked about it looked like Princess Diza was singing, and that's exactly what we're going to get. The question is it going to be exactly what we're afraid it's going to be, which is a gospel take, gospel in the Khazad-dûn. But while we did that, I had the songs of Tolkien being sung by Tolkien himself. So I brought that up, but I just wanted to leave that there, maybe as we go out, to give you some real Tolkien, because we've been talking about counterfeit Tolkien. But yeah, this show's going to get weirder. So yeah.
So okay, so awesome. So I guess that's what you're plugging. So thanks, buddy. I know we got live streams coming up on with Nurporial after show for House of the Dragon. We're gonna do the live watch on Salty Texas Sea for House of the Dragon. Then we're gonna keep
Sunday
rocking
night.
that Rings of Power stuff. Yeah, Sunday night.
Purple's got a live tomorrow.
Purple has a live stream tomorrow. It's going to be a game stream. It's going to be a game that we have all test drove here that we love a lot. We're going to be playing Gartic.
Oh man!
Please
Did
come
you say
to
Dark Dick?
What? No, I said Gartic. What your lifestyle? I'm not judging it. I'm just not participating in it. But Purple Valkyrie is going to have that live stream. We're going to have fun, play games, and talk about pop culture at the same time. So that's tomorrow.
Yeah, man. There's going to be some weird talk about pop culture in there in drawing form. It should be good. So,
entertaining.
This is a good place to leave it. Rest in peace, J.R.R. Tolkien. Absolutely, Purple. Thank you to everybody for showing up for all the super chats, memberships. Thank you for anybody that became a member. Vic, thank you for gifting all those memberships. Please consider becoming a member. It helps the channel immensely. I got a project waiting in the wings right now, so we'll see what happens there. Well, hopefully soon it'll be ready to unveil. So. Thank you guys again for being here, Nathan and Corey. Appreciate you guys being here. So I'll play this to take us out. So thank you guys, and we'll see you soon. Very soon. Probably gonna do this again. Bye. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
The glasses and crack the plates, blunt the knives and bend the forks. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates. Smash the bottles and burn the corks.